everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing some indoor seed starting outdoors. I originally was going to just do this inside the house, but it makes such a mess, and I just cleaned up every speck of dirt that I made a mess from last time I was seed starting some snapdragons. I figured, why not do it outside? It is a warm, sunny day. Originally I was gonna do it in the greenhouse, but then I was like, it's 100 degrees in here. What am I thinking? So we are just out on the deck. You guys can see my vegetable garden behind me, and we are going to be seed starting some yarrow today. And hi, if you're new here, my name is Kristy. I am located in Massachusetts Zone 6A, and I wanted to add some more perennials to my garden, and I was hoping if I could start some yarrow now, I could trick it into thinking this is its first year, and then next year we will see some blooms. Now, I did some yarrow seed starting with my winter sowing milk jugs this past winter, and while they germinated nicely, they are still growing. I did some research, and it was saying that yarrow usually will just put on its green leaves and work on root development its first year, and then it will start to flower its second year. You could, however, still see some yarrow maybe doing some light blooms towards the end of the fall. But as I see now out in my perennial garden that we put together on Mother's Day, it is still just working on that greenery. You just see the little green fern sticking out, and it's basically just maintaining those leaves right now. However, last year I did sprinkle a perennial seed mix right over here actually, and I did have some yarrow blooming its second year. So I just took a random seed packet I got at the grocery store, sprinkled it, and was kind of bummed nothing happened. And then this year being its second year, I'm starting to see more of those random blooms, like some Shasta daisy. I have a few pieces of yarrow in there, and some other daisies and some other flowers, which I'm not quite sure what they are, but I am getting some blooms now the second year. So my goal is, if I can start it now, I will transplant it out when it's about 3 to 4 inches tall, and then I will get it out for the fall over here off to the side of my house where it gets sun all the time. I have one peony bush there. I originally was planning on putting dahlias there, and then I was like, nope. I was gonna put my second succession of zinnias there, and then I was like, nope. Then I was like, oh, I'll just get some more peonies. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be a great place for yarrow. It does spread over the years through rhizomes, and I am totally fine with it spreading over there. And that way I can go and cut it. And I'm just trying to get into some perennials right now, even though I do have a ton of echinacea and other perennials throughout my landscape. So let's get to it. Now, as I mentioned, yarrow is a perennial in zones 3 through 9. So I am in zone 6A, and hopefully it'll be coming back year after year. You also can divide it after a few years and spread it around your yard. But right now we're going to focus on getting it perennialized, hopefully so it can overwinter, and then we can maybe get some blooms next year. Yarrow is great for cut flowers. It's also great for the pollinators. You can also dry it, I have heard. So maybe I might see if I can do that as well, so I can get some dried flower arrangements. So I ordered my yarrow through Swallowtail. I got 4 different varieties. One variety I didn't realize was a dwarf version, but that's okay. I can still get it into the landscape for the pollinators. My goal is to leave the yarrow around my vegetable bed and in my perennial bed for the pollinators, and this will just specifically be for harvesting. And then maybe if they start to spread a little bit too much around my vegetable garden, I will divide it and plant some over in the area where I want to have for my cut flower. I'm trying to keep the perennials that I'm using for my cut flower arrangements separate from the flower beds, because those I don't know if I'm going to change up next year. I already know that next year I plan on doing things a little bit differently. I noticed that the overhang of my neighbor's trees are kind of blocking the sunlight that my dahlias need. So they're not really getting the 8 hours that they prefer. They're probably getting, if I'm lucky, 4 to 5 hours. So now I know I'm going to bump them out a few rows next year, and I will, instead of putting them in my last row, I'll put them in my first 2 out of the 4. So that's why I'm like, I don't want perennials over there, mainly because I don't know how I'm going to switch things up over the years. I am still learning, as this is my first year attempting this for my roadside flower stand. So the varieties of yarrow that I got from Swallowtail are the Flower Burst Red Shades. I also got the summer berries. Marshmallow yarrow is the dwarf variety. It says it gets about 12 inches tall. So this will probably just go into my landscape, and I won't start too much of this, or I might wait until later in the year to get this done. And then I also have the Proa organic yarrow. So those three I will definitely get about probably 2 full trays. I'll probably split one between the summers and the red, and then the other one I believe is white, but I'm not positive. I'll definitely put it up here on the screen for you. And then I also plan on later today doing sunflowers for literally my 4th attempt, but that will be a separate total video. So let's get started. I also apologize if you can hear my central air unit. It is very warm today. So I already started and I made my own seed starting mix. I truthfully like the Espoma seed starting mix. I've had great results with that. It's just, it gets pricey after you buy so many bags. So I do have some peat moss in here. I ordered it through Home Depot, I believe. It was a Vermont blend. I'll put that up on the screen. It's okay. It says it's a seed starting mix. However, I still added vermiculite, and I also added perlite too, because it was just basically like a really fine peat moss, which I do also like. So we have the peat moss. I added vermiculite and some perlite. It is going to be just, it's definitely better than the peat moss that I have purchased before, which I mix in my garden beds. It's not as chunky. It's super fine and soft. So I do like that for seed starting. It was like, I think 2 cubic feet for roughly about like $26, $27. So I lucked out. I had a gift card, so I used it and thought, why not? So everything in this is also pre-moistened. So I'm going to fill these trays. I probably will do at least 2 of them. So there are 40 plugs in here, so we'll have about 80, which will probably be more than enough, but I really want to go heavy and then feel like I can just divide later if I need to. So when you are sowing these, you want to surface sow. It does need light to germinate. It says that it needs about 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit if you put it on a heat mat. I will be moving these inside with a humidity dome on top. They will go under my lights and on a heat mat. I actually have been starting snapdragons, some from Baker Creek, and I also have some from Johnny Seeds. I didn't record that because it was like a spur of the moment nighttime thing. My dirt came in. I was like, we have to start seed starting. And I also started seed starting stock as well. I'm gonna see if I can get snapdragons in stock for some fall arrangements. If not, it's just an experiment. I did start a lot, so I went kind of like threw all my eggs in one basket. If not, maybe they might overwinter some things, because I'm really cutting it with that 100 days to 120 days worth for bloom time, because I'm starting this now. It is the beginning of July, so today is July 5th. But yarrow, since it's a perennial, I don't feel like I have this really big time crunch. It does say on the seed packet you should start at 8 to 10 weeks before you are transplanting it out. So it does also say it takes 10 to 14 days to germinate. I tried to germinate some yarrow that I did with seed swapping. I did literally 40 cells of it, and I had 1 germinate. So whoever gave me the seeds that I swapped with didn't do a great job saving them, but that's okay. But it only took 7 days, so I don't know if I'll need a full 10 to 14 days. So we will get these started. I am definitely roasting out here, so I'm just going to do a lot of time lapses. But what I will do is I will fill all the trays, compact it a little bit, fill it again, surface sow everything, and then I just take a spray bottle. I mist the top so that way it'll stay nice and moist, and then I will maybe top it with a little sprinkle of vermiculite before moving it inside. Again, with the humidity dome on 70 degrees. I do have a temperature control for 2 out of 3 of my heat mats, but I think everything should be good. My snapdragons are almost fully done, so I do have some space because the stock has thankfully already germinated, so I moved them off this morning. So we're gonna start with the Flower Burst Red shades. I have a marker, I have a garden tag, so we'll get these going. And just to let you know, best tip ever, feet are in a bucket of cold water so I can get this done. So this is going to be, again, the Flower Burst. and today is July 5th. So we've been doing a lot of seed starting lately. We have been doing a lot of seed starting lately for the fall, or just, I'm still learning, I'm still trying out things. Again, like I said, I'm looking at my cut flower garden that's right in front of me, and I already know that next year I will be moving things around compared to what I have this year. That's okay because we are learning. So let's see. These are super small seeds. I am going to try and just get one per cell. If more than one drops, that's okay. But what I have found that has helped is I open up the bag and I make a crease down the middle, and I try and just tap the sides, hoping to get one in at a time. Sometimes more than one germinates. Snapdragons are just as small, if not smaller than the yarrow. The yarrow, it's like a little white silvery seed. So what I also like to do beforehand, which I didn't show, is I will go through, because anytime I have to surface sow, I always again gently press just so it doesn't find a pocket and fall into it. So that way it will still get the light it needs to germinate. So I did gently press everything in here, and we'll see. I'm hoping to get about 20 cells of this, 20 cells of something else, and then the summer berries, and then the summer berries ones, I'm going to do a full one with maybe saving like 10 of the marshmallow ones that are the dwarf ones again, which I really truthfully don't need. So I am just going to, I just tap, and they do, I feel like it's stuck in that crease. So sometimes you might have to just gently guide them out. So I just gently tap the sides. And these are way easier to see compared to a snapdragon. Those kind of blend in. And it is a little bit breezy, so hopefully these will not blow away. Like that one I had 3 in. I'm not gonna pick it out. And just like that, we're done. So that is going to be the flower burst, and then the other side, I'm going to do the Proa Organic Yarrow. All right, so again, I'm going to take my garden marker and write the variety. Honestly, well, honestly, when I plant this out, I don't really care if they get mixed matched, because again, they do spread through rhizomes. So if they start mixing throughout the bed, I can just easily separate them on my own. So I always do the date. That way I will write it in a little calendar that I have. And I am trying to record as best as I can when I am starting things, so I can know for next year. Like zinnias, everyone was saying, oh, don't start anywhere more than 4 to 6 weeks. Well, I honestly wish I did, because the ones that I started with the winter sowing, they have just taken off. I just did a video about how I transplanted them from my pepper bed. They are actually a little wilty right now, so I do need to go in there and water them until the roots get established in their new home. But I would start zinnias earlier. So sometimes writing everything down, holy moly. Okay, so this one has way more seeds. So you know what? I might overseed this one a little bit. I don't really want to do this again in the fall. I would probably wait until again next summer too. So for this one, I'm pretty sure these are white. I should have looked before recording this, but I am going to overseed this and maybe 2 or 3 seeds instead of 1, because there are just so many, which is nice. Whoops, that one probably had like 5. I've even found with zinnias, sometimes I would start 2, and my winter sown ones, I have 4 together, and while it's still fairly early in the season, they lean on each other to support each other. So I honestly don't mind overseeding. All right, and there is still a ton in here, my goodness. All right, so we have that one all set. So again, it's just a baggie. I like to make a crease and then just gently tap. You could do a toothpick with water. I've tried that, but then dirt gets stuck to it. I don't know if the dirt is still attached to the seed, especially with Snapdragon. So I just find by flicking it, the side is just what has worked. So I'm gonna finish up the next one and then I'll show you what I do afterwards. All right, so I decided to just do a full tray of the summer berries, and that way with the other one, the marshmallow, I can just use that for winter sowing. So I'm not taking up space upstairs, and that way I can get more of the ones that I want in the ground now. Since the marshmallow variety will be mostly for the pollinators, there is no rush on getting them done. And I love winter sowing, so why not save an extra seed packet for that? So I'm gonna get these upstairs, again, with a humidity dome on 70 degrees Fahrenheit on my heat mats. I do have a probe that will go into the tray or into the ones I still have Snapdragons on there right now. Again, at 70 degrees, they do have lights on top of them. And last time I did the Yarrow, again, it was about 7 days or so instead of the 10 to 14 days it says on the seed packet. So hopefully we'll get some germination, we'll let them grow, and then we're gonna hopefully plant them out maybe late August, beginning of September. Again, I'm not in any rush. This is just basically for them to be tricked, thinking this is their first year, so then hopefully next year they will put on some blooms. And if you would like to stay updated and see how this little experiment goes, go ahead and click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I will see y'all next time. Happy gardening. Bye.